Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
This is a science fiction movie podcast. Every week we get together, we've watched a movie, we talk about it. It's really quite that simple. And this week's film is WALL-E, the Pixar film from 2008, which was the winner of a vote every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Our $5 not patrons get to vote between 4 films. We had an animated theme for this batch, and WALL-E was the victor. Narrowly, it was almost Transformers the movie.
But I don't even know how that made the list.
But WALL-E, well, because it turned out when we decided to do 4 animated sci-fi films, there wasn't that many options that were worth putting on there.
There had to have been another one.
Okay, but
I don't remember that way.
Yeah, but keep in mind that both of us don't want anime.
Well, okay, so it would have been WALL-E. What was the other one?
Iron Giant.
Iron Giant, Treasure Planet, and Titan AE. Those should have been the 4.
Well, you didn't offer those up when we were picking them last time.
I'm sure I did.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway.
Because those 3 are all solid picks.
WALL-E is the victor, regardless, and we're going to talk about it. We'll start spoiler-free as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers. WALL-E, of course, is the story of the last robot on Earth on a, maybe post-apocalyptic, maybe not quite the right phrase, but essentially, it's an Earth that's been evacuated by humans, and WALL-E is the last little trash compactor robot that is left, who has developed a bit of a personality, and he's all alone until one day a sophisticated, at least as far as WALL-E is concerned, sexy robot from
a lady robot
from space appears, and all of a sudden he sees his opportunity to finally not be alone anymore. Eve being the lady robot in question. So that is the general premise, and it's funny because I feel like where the plot goes after the 30 or so minute mark, it's kind of a lot of the movie, but I feel like it is kind of spoilery to just start dive into all that because it's all after the premise. So but we'll get into it. So I guess she'll start with the question that I always start with. Tara, how did you feel about WALL-E?
I have so many feelings. All of them good.
Oh, all of them?
Yes, I love this movie. I mean, it's really surprising how emotional I get while watching the film. It really just hits me. It's great.
Okay. I suppose this is a juncture where I reveal how I feel about the film, which for whatever reason I've had good fun not letting Tara have any kind of inkling as to how I feel about WALL-E.
I know you don't like animated movies, so
I think it's funny.
I think I don't know how anybody can not like this film though. So go ahead.
Okay, I like plenty of animated films for the record. Does this?
Yeah, no. You did add Iron Giant and Transformers to the list.
I did Iron Giant. Don't blame Transformers on me.
There's no way I picked Transformers.
We looked through the most popular science fiction animated films, and it was there. It was the obvious next choice.
How'd you feel about WALL-E?
WALL-E is very good. Okay. That's short from me. It's got a lot of heart. I will say I do think I like the first 30 minutes more than I do the rest. I think I love it when it is just silent and it is just this visual story that's being told. But then it has to go other places obviously because we can't just necessarily. Well, I mean, I kind of wish there was just 90 minutes of that, but we have to go elsewhere.
I would agree. Like the first half is not first half, but like first 30 minutes. Where it is basically a silent film is very fun and very impressive. The fact that they made a child's movie with no dialogue for the first 30 to 40 minutes of the movie. But I think the second half is more important than the first part. So I do like where it goes a lot.
No, I mean, the second half, as far as the podcast goes, as far as a science fiction podcast where we talk about science fiction ideas and what they mean and what the message of the film is, the second half is definitely the more important half because the second half is the one that introduces a lot of its themes, a lot of what's going on. I mean, they're kind of there in the first half, but the second half is what really brings them all home.
I think if you made a movie just out of the first part of it, you could still have all those same themes, but it wouldn't be a kids movie anymore. It would be more for adults.
It'd be more subtle, yeah. It'd be more sort of like implications and like implied things in the background. And...
Just because we know humans aren't there anymore on this earth, so we can kind of infer what happened and the mistakes that we made.
Yeah.
But I think the second part, like, that's the part that you need for the kids. And it is still fun. Like, it still continues its whimsy. And, you know, we get a lot of great visuals.
It becomes a lot more adventurous because it's not an adventure story in the first 30 minutes. It's not until after things change a little bit that it goes a bit more full, like, like Wally's actually in danger, bad things may happen to him, and these other things are going on, and you know, there's a lot of back and forth there. But of course, at its core, we've got the love story between the two robots.
Yeah, the first 30 minutes is just a love story, and it's very good.
And the visuals, I think, do you know what I think it is? I think the main reason why I like the first 30 minutes more than the rest is I think the visuals of the first 30 minutes, the desolate cities, all those visuals,
the skyscrapers of trash.
Yeah, they look phenomenal. And then, don't get me wrong, like the stuff in this, obviously some stuff in space is quite pretty too, but there's a lot of stuff in the second half that's in a lot of more like, I don't want to say hallways, but like a bit more, just, you know, okay, it looks a bit more like a normal animated movie now, as opposed to like some of that stuff in the first 30 minutes, which really holds up, by the way. I know it's 12 years old now, but it really holds up. It looks like a painting at times.
I know, and you got to watch it in like 4K. I'm so jealous.
HDR. I was actually blinded at one point. There's a scene where he's in because he's got like a truck or whatever he lives in, right, with all his stuff. And there's a scene where he's like watching the TV. It's a really dark scene, and it cut to like the next day, and I was almost blinded by how bright. I was like, "Oh my god, my eyes! Damn you, damn you, editor! How dare you!"
I'm sure I felt that way in the theater also.
Yeah. Build up to the brightness, please. Let my eyes adjust gradually, you pricks. But no, it was stunning. It was good. But no, the film is very good. Like, I like to poke fun because Tara came in all like, this is a masterpiece, guns blazing, and I like to, I mean, if anyone remembers our episode that we did on that stupid one,
no.
Meet the Robinsons, that's what it was called, where,
I thought you were talking about Inception.
Oh, look at her trying to throw some shade back. Look at that. I respect it. Thank
you.
It's like actually a Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David gets really mad at people try to like chat and cut, and the woman he pulls up for it then starts talking to him as a way to then cut by talking to him, and he just sort of goes, you know what? I'm letting you do this because I respect it. I respect it. So, yeah, the visuals are obviously a big part of it because so much of it is silent as far as dialogue goes, but there is music, there is obviously sound design.
Yeah, I mean, I read on the trivia that the animators and production team all had to watched every Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton short and film, like during their lunch breaks or whatever, so that they could, and it really feels like it, like the antics that Wally gets where he like kicks a pipe and then the whole like thing of pipes falls on him. It's a very Buster Keaton thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of visual
it really
humor.
pays off. I think there's a lot of good humor in it.
A lot of visual humor. It kind of does a good job of like setting up like how he feels, what the story is, how he feels about Eve. Then Eve's like it's classic storytelling. You spend 10 minutes introducing your character and what his life is like, who he is, and then you introduce this new element that's going to change everything. I mean, in storytelling terms, it's the inciting incident. Eve's arrival is the inciting incident of the story, and everything develops from there. And if you've never heard that before, it's basically just like in any movie, it's like you always have to introduce your main character. And some stories will shake things up by trying to like do it in different ways, but for the most part,
right,
you introduce
your medias res or something.
Yeah, but for the most part, you start with the introduction to your character or characters if it's like more of an ensemble, and then something will happen, which then the entire story starts because of that thing. In this case, it's Eve's arrival as the inciting incident. So. No, it's gorgeous and it holds up, and it's one of these things where I think when you go back and watch the first Toy Story, which is a great movie, right? The first Toy Story is a great movie, but when you go back and watch it, it's 1995 CGI. You're like, you know what? I can tell that we've gotten a lot better since then. It's a lot more simple looking.
Everything's very like vinyl looking.
Yeah,
I mean they're toys, but like the humans are also looks like very vinyl. I don't know. Glossy is the wrong term. But yeah, you can tell we've come a long way, but it still looks good. Like Toy Story looks good.
Oh yeah,
and it's a fun movie to watch, and
yeah.
like this, I guess cinematography is the right word.
I think the way I'd put it is that with Toy Story 2, where would I say the turning point is? It's kind of weird because I think by the time you get to the mid 2000s and they've done like Finding Nemo, Incredibles, they're kind of at that point where they reach this kind of plateau. And it's not that they've not advanced since then, because I just watched Coco recently, and that's got a lot of like leaves floating about, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But even though I think technically speaking, Coco is more advanced than WALL-E in terms of what's, you know, from a technological standpoint happening on screen, I don't think when I was watching WALL-E I felt any sort of like, oh, this feels old, because it's at a point where the art style feels like everything is adding itself to the art style. So instead of feeling like, you know, when you watch a movie, like a regular movie that is not an animated one, typically speaking, unless it's kind of poor or for some reason, what you're looking at is, okay, does this, the way this is shot, lend to a feeling that the creators are trying to create? And when I'm watching WALL-E here, I'm not saying, oh, this is technologically inferior to Coco. I'm saying, no, they're achieving this painting quality of like the still cityscape, and WALL-E roaming through it on his own in the ultra bright harsh light, feeling like the planet's kind of desolate and alone and empty and kind of sad, and it's creating everything it needs to feel. And that's where I'm saying that it kind of they hit this kind of plateau where it feels like they're achieving their artistic vision without any compromise from this point on. Now, maybe technically behind the scenes that's not true. Maybe there was things they had to compromise, but at least from the finished product, I don't feel that way. Whereas when I watched Toy Story 1, don't get me wrong, great movie. It does everything it needs to do. But from a visual point of view, I'm watching it and going, oh, I can see like they probably would have liked this to be a bit more intricate looking, or, you know, this looks a bit plasticky or whatever.
I mean, even the jump between Toy Story 1 and 2 is pretty like substantial in quality.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's hell, it's what, Windows 95 to Windows 98?
Yeah. Well, I agree. Like, there's no time in WALL-E where you think the visuals are suffering because the technology of 15 years ago, or not 15 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But there are still moments, like Coco is one of them. Actually, one of the big ones for me was The Good Dinosaur, which if you look at the poster, you're going to think like, really, that one? Like, it's just a very cartoonish looking dinosaur. But the like environment in that movie was like, okay, we're at the next level now of computer technology. Like, everything looked so realistic. Yeah. Except for the dinosaur. But that was on purpose. Like, that was just the art style.
Yeah. Yeah, if anything, it's only, I mean, I don't think it's so much about to say there is some human characters eventually. I do think that once the human characters are the ones that stick out, and this is maybe the one thing that feels a bit dated from a technology standpoint, and I know they're meant to look a bit cartoony. Joe, it probably hurts it's because, and I appreciate the creative choice here, but I think using live action footage for the humans from the past on the videos does make it feel extra cartoony, because I'm seeing humans. I mean, obviously we all remember what humans look like. It's not like we forget what humans look like when we sit down and watch an animated movie, but I'm seeing you know, what's his face, Fred Willard. He just passed away in May.
I know. Well, it's really nice to see him again on screen.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know he passed away. I looked him up and went, oh, he just passed away this year.
Yeah. It really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was May. So seeing him, you get Jeff Garlin's a voice in here as well. You know, I'm not used to him not dropping F-bombs and yelling at Larry for various things.
I know. He's a good choice though for voice. There's something about him, like even in Curb, that's super likable. He kind of has that John Goodman quality in his voice, which is which is very which is I think why Disney uses him a lot also to voice characters.
Yeah, I don't think they actually had to get someone who physically was close to the description of the character, but hey, they did. No. So
yeah, I mean, Jeff Garlin's not a small man. He's not quite as big as the
he's
the people
not
depicted in the movie. The people in the movie are like, they look like babies. Which I think is the point also.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll get into all
coddled,
that. You know. Yeah, we'll get into all that. I don't want to go too much into it, but so.
But I like the choice of having the like live action humans in the beginning. Like, remember, like, this is still our world, and we can have a disconnect because the humans that we see later on maybe don't look as realistic, and you know, when they show the live action humans, it's still behind some type of filter or screen, like it's being projected onto something. So there's still a little bit of computer animation mixed in there. So it's not like a super sharp image of Fred Willard that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very clear that it is. It's not like, it's clearly live action. There's no mistaking that this is just Fred Willard on screen. But I get the choice for doing it. It's one of those weird things. The first time I saw it, that I genuinely thought we were never going to see any humans because they used the live action footage. I thought, because they're showing us live action humans, we're never going to see any humans in the movie. I really thought that for a good portion of the film. So I was
you
surprised
don't for like a long time.
Yeah, it's a while. Yeah. So no, what else is there to say? The spoiler free, because I don't want to talk about the once it changes, I think it does. So yeah, all the technical stuff's all solid, spick and span.
I love Wally. Like, I just love his character. He's so easy to love, and like watching him collect all the knickknacks and his collection that he has, and he doesn't really quite know how everything works. He just knows he likes it for some reason because it's different and special, and holds on to it. And even if it's trash, it's still like something about it intrigues him in like a childlike way. And I think Wally is just a flawlessly designed character for a film.
Are you also a fan of Johnny Five?
No, actually. If you watch that movie, it does not hold up.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But there is definitely some similarities in the design, because I remember when I first saw the trailer for this that I went, I remember something looking like this, kind of. Just the design of the robot. I don't mean anything else, obviously.
Yeah, Short Circuit is not as good as you guys remember.
I don't even remember. I don't think I ever saw the first one. I think I saw the second one growing up. But yeah, I don't. There's a lot of reasons.
I'm not looking forward to the day where we have to do that one.
There's a lot of reasons why that doesn't hold up, and some of them are actually very real world things, which I do not particularly get excited about talking about. But yeah, I do want to talk about something that it made me smile and then I hated it a little bit.
What?
And that is the sound that he makes when he's finished charging.
Oh, the Apple?
Yes.
The Macintosh? Why would you hate that?
Because I just
Well, you know why it's there. Steve Jobs is one of the original creators of Pixar.
No, yeah, I get it. And Eve even looks like she's designed by Apple. She's got like an Apple sort of sleek look to her. I think it's not that it's product placement per se, because it's not. It's just kind of a joke.
It's a nod.
Yeah.
It's a nod, yeah.
But maybe it's just because I hate Macs. It may just be that. It may just be a deep-rooted hate, resentment of Macs and Apple operating software, which I absolutely despise, and the obsession with Apple products, which infuriates me to no end. But anyway.
Well, it's gone down quite a bit in recent years. I mean, they still, Apple fans still have their iPhones that they will never not have an iPhone.
Yeah.
But let them live in their own prison of their choice. They like their closed system. They can have it.
There's a disappointment when I remember in uni, we would normally edit on PCs, but then in the second year we moved to a different suite, because every year has their own sort of room that they have for editing, and it switched to Macs, and it was even the mouse is so much slower, moving around. Every time I went to use one, I'd have to go into the settings and turn the track speed all the way up, and even then it still felt like it was going slow compared to every other mouse I've ever used. Hate it.
It's not made for programmers.
Max, I'm not a programmer.
Well, people who are savvy.
Okay. Fair, yeah. But this is not for. This podcast is not for me to rant about how much I don't like Apple products. But
I think it's cute, and I think it's a nod to Steve Jobs more than anything else.
Just you wait until we do Oblivion, which is not a movie that I dislike, but there's definitely some aspirations to base their designs on Apple as an aesthetic in that movie.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what everybody was using, except for the people who did the special effects. They're definitely PC people.
Very possibly. Also, I hate the idea that you have to pay twice as much for something that performs half as well.
Yeah, I think most people would. but some people just are swayed by the design, the look, the aesthetic of something. They don't want a box. They want
Quite
the
frankly,
candy colored ones.
Quite frankly, they're lucky that I didn't resent Wally because of that noise and rooted against him the entire time. They're lucky. They're lucky that he won me over. Quite
Wow,
frankly.
that's a deep-rooted hate. What do you think of the other stuff, like seeing the Atari system and all that?
Oh, that was cute. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's all sort of things between like 1960 and 1980s.
Do you know what?
Which is fine.
So for some reason, something about products that don't exist anymore or companies that are dead, I don't have a problem with ever referencing. Like, see, like in like Blade Runner, for example, 2049, when the Atari logo came up, like I'm like, oh, that's kind of an interesting nod to the original because they had the Atari logo.
A product of its time.
Yeah. But is it like for some reason it's way more annoying when it's something that's actually in use? Not that I don't have a problem with product placement. I should have mentioned that. Just gratuitous product placement. It actually bothers me more when something that should have a brand or someone should say something like, you know, it's like that when someone just goes up to like a bar and says, "Can I have a soda?" No. You would say Coke or something. You wouldn't say, "I want a soda."
They're like drinking a can of something, but you just see the barcode. You can't see what it is.
Yeah, but then alternatively, you get movie scenes, and I'm looking at Adam Sandler here, where you'll have like a line of Coke cans all in front of like the bottom third of the screen because they're just they're all every single can on the table just all facing the front.
Or like the World War Z when he goes to like Brad Pitt drinks a Pepsi like really really slow.
Just, you know what? The zombies chasing me. I'm just gonna like
take a little Pepsi break.
There's always time for Pepsi.
That's good Pepsi.
But anyway, back to the movie. But yes, and okay, we'll never review World War Z in this, but look forward to the Oblivion and Short Circuits and whatever else we mentioned there that may also be sci-fi.
Oh boy.
So many movies to do. So, but yeah, we should probably go into spoilers so we can start working through the film. Especially since I don't feel it's really a film where it changes so much after the first 30 minutes that I do think you should. I mean, I know we revealed there's some humans, but other than that, I think we should keep it all to spoilers. No, admittedly, it is 12 years old, and if you really care about all these spoilers, you probably. But I do love the idea of someone finding this review in 15 years' time, someone who's not even born yet, finds this and goes, "Oh, I wonder if this is any good," and they're able to listen to the first 20 minutes of it and say, "Hey, they said this was good. I'm going to go watch it." I respect those people.
You should watch it.
I respect
Please
those
watch
people.
it.
Like, I get that if there's an article about the 6th century, we talk about the ending, but don't put it in the headline. Don't be a dick, right?
You're never going to let that go.
All right. So, yes, I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers at the time of recording. So, thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Sharp, Board Now, Al Tribesman, Christopher Moy, Brett Williams, and David Brown. They are all our Patreon producers at the moment. That means they're $20 or more on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. But you don't have to be a patron at that level, do you, Tara?
Why no? If you enjoy the show and want to support and get more content out of it, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes of The Ace. So if you're looking for your favorite Trancers saga film, it's there. There's also some gems like Time Cop and Free Jack, Judge Dredd. So please check that out. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to these reviews one day early, and some other shows we do 1 week early, depending on the show. So thank you.
I can't believe you didn't mention the works of Reb Brown when we were promoting the bonus episodes.
Oh yeah, yours there now.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get access to the whole back catalogue of bonus episodes if you sign up for $1. Always worth mentioning that. Because there's like, I don't know, 15 of them now? Something like that? Maybe even more than that?
Mm-hmm.
Whole back catalogue. It's basically like Mail Fuzz Netflix at this point. We've got a whole streaming service. You can go and access a bunch of content. Also, the Emmys are going on today, and I just want to bring up, just spur of the moment thing here. Tim, my Screams After Midnight co-host, here's a tweet from Tim about the Emmys. "I'm sorry, but the only Emmys I care about are the M&Ms I'm going to put in my belly. Yum yum." End of tweet.
I can't believe you felt the need to read that, Doctor.
I'm sure someone will appreciate it. I just wanted to share how stupid it was, that's all.
Well, follow our Twitter handle for more fun things about M&Ms.
What's our Twitter handle, Tara?
At the Ace Podcast.
I wanted to see if you would get confused and not forget that it's on the screen. Because you clearly looked at it. You clearly panicked for a split second and went, oh, it's on the screen. I can read it.
There's no panic.
There was panic.
in there.
I saw panic in the eyes. There was panic in those eyes.
Whatever.
You were a deer in the headlights for about half a second. No spoilers there from this point on for Wally before Tara gets mad at me. Much like Eve gets mad at Wally a couple of points during this movie. I love how it bro. I love how it plays with, like, obviously you have this thing in the movie where he's immediately like, as soon as he sees her when she lands, he's like, oh, and he's kind of like scared of her and he's hiding behind things as he's watching her because she's searching for something. She's looking through and she's flying around and.
But she's so sleek and like.
Yes.
She floats and there's no harsh edges around her. She's just this like, she's like an egg. But she's also terrifying because she's incredibly strong and
she can
has
blow things
weapons.
up. Yeah. You could say that she's curvy. Maybe Wally's into the curves. Yes.
It's a good man. I think it's just like she's a sleek design. Also, he's been watching these old romance movies from like the 50s.
Yes, some old musicals, and he wants to sing and dance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello, Dolly, I think. Is that?
Yeah, I think that was the one he was watching. He follows her around, and he's got like a cockroach he's befriended, who's been kind of hanging around.
Yeah, leave it to Pixar to make the most vile creatures on Earth adorable.
That's
Not
no
a
way.
fan of roaches.
That's no way to talk about fish.
Oh, I love fish.
That's a Finding Nemo joke.
Yeah, fish are friends, not food.
I was searching for my brain for like another Pixar movie that I could make a joke about some species. I suppose A Bug's Life would have been the one to really go to.
Yeah, those are cute too.
Yeah,
But I'm not a roach fan. I would never kill roaches.
is anyone a cockroach fan? Like, do those people exist?
I don't know. They're so awful.
Maybe a serial killer here or there. I don't know if any normal people.
The alien in Men in Black.
Oh, he does enjoy the cockroaches. That's true. That's true. So, but no, he's very nervous, and eventually she does see him, and she kind of like evaluates that he's not a threat, and just kind of leaves him alone. But this leads to a lot of things where he's trying to impress her. You know, he does his trash compactor thing, and he spits it out and goes, "Ta-da!" You know,
He's so cute. Oh my god. Could they make him any cuter? He's just got these lovable eyes that like slope downward, so he looks so like sweet and friendly. And then I love like you can see the cameras focusing on each pupil for the lens. It's just, he's so well designed. He's so cute.
But there's moments later on though where he kind of messes up because he's trying so hard to like be close to her that he pisses her off because he gets in the way of her mission, and she sort of like goes, Wally, and I'm like, yeah, that's the angry girlfriend right there. That's accurate. Yep. So, and you know, even the fact that he's doing it out of nicest and he screws up and it turns into her being mad at him. I'm like, yeah, this is all very relatable. Wally is a very relatable character.
Yeah, he's just trying to, you know, get her to notice him.
Yeah, in a sweet way though, not in a, you know, incel kind of.
Right. Yeah. In a respectful way.
Yes, he's trying to, you know, hold her hand and whatever. And she even starts to like, you know, she chuckles a little bit. She gets to grow on. She giggles at him eventually when he shows her a bit of the Hello Dolly. Tries to dance. She tries to dance too and almost like breaks the planet in half.
Yeah.
Like,
I like how she starts to like let her guard down and just hang out with Wally, and everything that he has collected and is sharing with her, she like does something else with it, like just accidentally makes it into something else. Like the Rubik's Cube he gives her because it's this cool cube with all these multicolors on it, and then she just solves it, or gives her the light bulb and it lights up when she picks it up, or yeah, tries to dance and destroys his home.
They're all super delightful moments. But then, you know, Wally, of course, before she arrived, he found like a leaf, like a little plant that was growing out of the ground. And when she sees this, she basically goes, target acquired, sucks it into her belly, and then shuts down. And Wally, of course, is very upset. He's distressed by this, and he's
just starting to make progress here.
Yeah. So he tries to keep her like covered from the rain, and he tries to like takes her everywhere with him and keeps her dry, or covers her when there's like a sandstorm or whatever. He's always there to like sort of look after her while she's essentially in a coma. For like, it's basically The Big Sleep, which is also a good movie for anyone who's not seen it.
Aw. I didn't realize that, but you're right.
But eventually the big rocket ship returns that brought her here in the first place, and she goes off, and there's a lot of stuff in here where Wally, like, he'll not be paying attention for a second, and she'll go taken away in the background, and he'll turn around and go, Eve, and he'll sort of run after her. It happens a lot. In fact, one of the funny ones as well, it's not even exactly what I was saying, but there's a moment earlier on when she's doing something and he's trying to like impress her in the background, and he ends up being chased by all the shopping carts, and he gets like slammed against the
It's
the
so
door.
funny. It's like filmed like a not hidden camera, but like a found footage style, to the way like the camera like zooms in and has to get into focus and stuff. It's hilarious.
Well, all I can say about that is that The Office was already really successful at that point, and the zoom in and refocus to add to the comedy was a big thing in that show. I feel like that might have been inspiration.
Yeah, I think this is the only time that it does it in the film, but it's super noticeable.
Yeah,
And it does add to the comedy.
Don't get me wrong, it's always intentional. Like, the director has told the camera operator to do that every time it
This
happens.
is animated, it has to be.
But it's but that's what I'm saying. It's especially intentional. It's because they have to like make the choice to like actually animate that.
Right. It does make it funnier.
Yeah, because it's not like they can accidentally do that in a digital world. Like, no, they went out of their way.
I mean, the whole first part of this movie is all like just a visual medium, right? Like there is some music and he makes some noises and very, very minimal dialogue exchange. It's mostly just their names that they say. So it all is like just watching a silent film, like a Buster Keaton short film. And it is very like he's very like his body movements, if you could say he's basically a cube with eyes, but like it's very funny. Like just the way he's animated is adorable and funny, and it had to be challenging to get that just right.
Yeah, a lot of effort definitely went into it. So of course the ship comes back. Wally's able to grab onto it as it's leaving, but he does tell the cockroach to stay behind, because the cockroach can't survive in space, of course. And
Get to your
Wally,
Twinkie. I like the little tidbit of the Twinkie and the cockroaches are of course surviving the 700 years that humans have been gone. It's kind of a tropey thing, right? But it's cute that they included it.
Well, I mean, the cockroach gets blasted by a rocket from Eve and gets run over repeatedly by Wally, and is always fine.
Yeah.
Very durable.
Well, they're monsters. They can do that. Every little cockroach is Michael Myers. It cannot be killed.
All right, so he's out of space, and this is a wonderful visual sequence where he's going through space. We get him like charging up when he goes past the sun, which is a nice moment. I love him putting his hand in like the asteroid belt or the whatever it is. I
actually get quite emotional during this scene. I'm just so blown away by the visuals, and the music helps, of course. Like it's just a very beautiful scene.
And he looks back at Earth at one point. Obviously, it's earlier before he gets to the other planets, but like he looks back at Earth and it's like, oh, that's just that. It's just, and it made me think of the whole Carl Sagan, the pale blue dot speech, and all that kind of thing, and that which does tie into a lot of the themes of the film is when they really get going. But even before we get to the back half of the movie, in the opening, we see evidence of the company of the what are they called again?
By and large.
Yeah, the company, the conglomerate that basically had a monopoly on the world, and we get even just the visual and the idea that they abandoned the planet but left a bunch of robots to clean up their mess. It's a very human thing to do.
Yeah, and everything has the B&L logo on it. So like the gas stations, the grocery stores, even the president, which is Fred Willard, that we get to see on like billboards, is like it's just like a by and large logo behind it. I think the presidential seal is like CEO of we assume Earth.
Yeah, I get the impression that that's basically replaced the presidencies. The president of the company is the president of the planet.
Right. It's just this monopoly has like so control over everything that it just runs literally everything, including like Earth politics. It's just the CEO now, which is kind of funny because we do have not like a global president, but we have a businessman.
Well, even just the idea
office right now.
The idea that policies and stuff are influenced by the rich corporations who can influence those decisions, like that is kind of a metaphor for that. And, you know, it's making it literal.
Yes.
So
I do think it's also kind of funny that Disney would allow for this type of allegory or warning for humanity. Like, this is why monopolies can be dangerous, when Disney itself is buying up every movie studio now. Although this is not a Disney movie, this is a Pixar. No, it is a Disney movie because Disney purchased Pixar after this. And I think before this, just a couple years before this. So maybe it's already in pre-production.
They bought them in 2006, so it might have started. It might have started. It's hard to. I don't know how long it takes them to make a movie from scratch.
I think animated films take a little while.
It may have already been sort of in the works, but I mean, I've never had the impression, at least I can't think of any examples of Disney like enforcing like some sort of, you know, corporate mandate. We're not, you know, you're not going to do this or that kind of thing.
I mean, I know there are people out there who think that Disney is an evil corporation. I don't think so yet. Maybe I'm just buying into the propaganda because all they teach is that evil things are bad. So, but it does. I don't know. It is kind of interesting because since then they've acquired major studios, Marvel and Star Wars and Fox
yeah.
And that's
a lot.
Yeah, and ABC, which is also a news network. I've heard.
Well, they always partially owned that, I'm sure, or at least they have for a long time.
Right. I have heard also that Disney owns one of the newspapers. I'm not sure which one, in Los Angeles, or at least partially owns it. So that's why you never hear any bad stories coming out of Disneyland, is because the newspaper will purchase the story and then never print it. Which, I don't know, sounds like it should be illegal, but
that's a bit skeevy. I think there should be rules against that, but you know. So yes, while he's in space, and he's on the side of the ship, he ends up inside and he tries to follow best. And there's a lot of visual hijinks as he's trying to like keep up with Eve as she's unconscious, but there's robots taking her. The little clean bot who kind of like keeps getting annoyed because Wally's so dirty and leaving tread marks everywhere and all that. He becomes a vital thing later on in the movie, but Wally has to try and keep up with her. He interacts with some characters, and I do kind of like the idea that he, as soon as he interacts with Cliff from Cheers, to just put it that way,
John Ratzenberger, he's always in the Pixar films.
Yeah, he immediately starts to have a positive effect on people. Yeah, where he seems quite friendly once Wally's helped him, and then later on, there's the woman who's like lets him by, and then they end up like holding hands, when Wally and Eve are outside in space and being all romantic and whatnot. But yeah, so just to sort of like go into like what all this stuff is doing is that we find out that this is essentially like an arc, where all the human beings left Earth 700 years ago. That's how long it's been since humans were on Earth.
The idea was that Earth has become inhabitable because there's too much trash. There's just too much stuff. And so humans have to leave while B&L uses their garbage robots to clean up the Earth to make it habitable again. Yeah.
And we found out there's basically a HAL 9000. Very intentionally. Yes. Very attention. I think they just called it Auto when he was talking to it, but very intentionally looking like HAL. The fact that they used the music later on, I think was...
There's a lot of 2001 A Space Odyssey references here. Yeah. And I love every single one of them.
Of course you do.
You're only adding points to the score, Wally.
Yeah. But we see that they live in this super consumer society. Everything they eat is sold in milkshake form.
Yeah. Everything is convenience. There is no effort in anything that they do all day.
Yeah, no one walks. They're all in these like sort of flying chairs that just got taken around.
Right.
They're always on essentially, and this is what's actually kind of funny, is they're always kind of on essentially social media talking to each other instead of looking at anyone, because there's like two guys who are in chairs that are right next to, they could just be turning and talking and have a conversation, but they're talking to each other almost essentially like a sort of Facebook chat. Now, to be fair, this is a little ahead of its time, because this is actually right before, I mean, MySpace existed, but I mean, this wasn't really, like, we weren't in the 2010s yet, right? We weren't at Facebook and Twitter were, had taken over everything, but it was kind of like predicting that kind of idea, and everyone's obsessed with that. The adverts come on saying, hey, everyone's wearing red, why not try blue? And
it's the new red.
It's the new red. And but they never actually say it, but I got the implication in this scene is they had to pay for this. So when they press the button in their chair to change their outfit to blue, it's like a microtransaction in a video game. It's like, hey, for just $2.99, you can turn into your outfit into blue. It's like,
you're right. There's no currency ever in here, but I don't know if they need currency, since it's just a closed system of people.
True.
Yeah, just surviving. I don't know. Like, I wonder where the babies come from. I don't need an explanation here, but like,
sure, no, I get what you're
where
saying.
Babies come from,
like how they procreating, because they're all just lazy flat slobs.
Because there are babies in here, but you don't see babies with parents. Like, they're being raised by a robot.
Is it just like a civic duty where you hit a certain age, you go to a room with another random civilian, and
or maybe it's extracted? Who knows? Or they're clones.
Oh, maybe they're clones. Yeah, just just these two jolly fat people just get sent into a room and they're told, all right, you got 15 minutes, get the job done.
But they can't move, right? So, I mean, we don't need to get into the nitty gritty of the science of WALL-E, but like, but it did come to mind, like, we do see babies.
You've got robots looking after everything. Maybe the robots, you saw Don't Breathe, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't like where this is going.
I'm just saying, there's a turkey baster for every situation.
Oh, that drip. Oh boy.
I've never looked at Stephen Lang the same way again. So...
That's a good movie.
Oh, it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a good movie. But yeah, so we're introduced to this world, and it's super, like, there's ads everywhere, there's billboards everywhere, everything's neon lighting. It's why not have lunch today? Get a cheeseburger and a drink. Get a hot dog and a drink. Get this and a drink.
Get a cupcake now in a cup. But it's just a shake.
Yeah. This idea that just consume and consume and consume, but both
Right.
food and also media and also whatever else they're doing all days. And it's this idea that they've all essentially become zombies, because there's that moment where the woman who kind of moves back to let Wally past at one point to get to Eve, when she
breaks her chair.
Well, the screen, like the what she's looking at gets taken away, and then she sees like all the billboards and the neon lighting, and she's like, oh, it's almost like she's never even like noticed what the world is like that she's in. She's like, oh, everything's really bright, this is weird.
It's just, I didn't know we had a pool. Even though like the whole foyer, that whole area is just one giant pool. Like, people just don't see what's right in front of them, and you can't really blame them. Like, they just grew up in a system where this was normal, and people have that. People don't have the ability to look what's right in front of them because they've been taught their whole life to just see something a certain way, or to live a certain way.
And there's no responsibilities, so they are super coddled in every sense of the word.
Yeah, there's a robot for everything.
Yeah. So you get the impression that they're born and then robots just take care of them, and there's little chairs that'll take them around.
We see that too. We see babies like in their own little baby chairs. Like, so from birth, they're taken care of entirely by robots.
Yeah. So it's soulless, it's soulless, and there's no, and it's not that they're evil. Like, none of them come across as like bad people necessarily. They're just, kind of sad and pathetic. I guess.
It's just a life of, being coddled and not having any challenges.
And part of the uplifting idea of it is that Eve and Wally's like influence by just being there a short time with their relationship and romance and their feelings and caring about each other, it rubs off on just enough people that everything changes. That's kind of the story of the second half of the film, is that it inspires everything. Like, I mean, we mentioned the 2001 music, but like that scene where the captain decides to walk for the
Is
first
epic.
time, yeah, to save Wally, because Wally's in trouble and he's going to get crushed by there's like a device that's meant to like read the plant, because a lot of the back half of the film is them trying to get to the plant, which is when it missing and then ends up in various places, and the AI, the HAL 9000 is like, no, we can't go back, this is too dangerous, Earth's not safe. And the ultimate lesson is the captain, like when he looks through the footage from Eve's camera and whatnot, is he's like, and then he looks at
He starts asking questions.
the secret tapes of like the messages from that he's never seen before about the Earth being screwed. It essentially comes to this idea because he waters the plant and goes, "Oh, you just need someone to take care of you." And he has the thought, he's like, "Wait, that goes for
That's
the Earth
exactly
too.
what we need to do. Yeah.
We have to go back and actually nurse it back to health. We have to fix it. We have to take care of it and take responsibility."
I think it's a really like it's a really great moment, but also like he gets some when he first gets the plant, because the whole Eve thing, she goes to the captain with the autopilot there, who's HAL 9000 basically.
Yeah.
And he gets the manual of what the next step is, but his whole life as captain has been a routine thing. Like he doesn't do anything. Like he gets mad at the autopilot for not waking him up to do the morning announcements. And he says, "This is literally the only thing I get to do all day. Like this is what I look forward to. You guys do everything else. I get to do the morning announcements." So, and he gets this manual, all of a sudden he has this huge responsibility of, this is it. This is what the whole ship was designed for. We have we have a reason now to go back to Earth because life was found there. And you can see the hesitation, like, do I want to? Like, I don't know how to do this part. And when we find out, like, Eve goes to reveal the plant and it's been taken, it's not there anymore. The relief that comes over him of, oh, thank God, like things can go back to normal. Now I don't have to deal with this scenario that came up and just a faulty robot, whatever. But then he starts to ask questions and he starts to get excited about the idea of returning to Earth. And then we get that wonderful scene with the plant, and he just waters it and has that epiphany.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff obviously in between all this where they take them to get cleaned and fixed, and Wally inadvertently lets all the defective robots out of their cells and causes chaos on the ship.
Right.
But we have all these great things where they're trying to get the because Eve tries to send Wally back to Earth. He gets like a pod, like a little shuttle, and is like, "No, you're going back to Earth. You don't belong here." And Wally's poor little heart's breaking. But they find the plant, and then the robot that's like sending is trying to get dispose of the plant because we can't have the plant. That's just shaking too many boats,
Well, it turns out the autopilot has a directive to not go back to Earth, to make sure that they stay here, because
it comes across as very sinister. And Wally goes there to get the plant, and the shuttle leaves, and we get this is the beautiful scene where he ends up with the fire extinguisher trying to like get back, and Eve's flying towards them, and they end up sort of making shapes and this is where she sort of, quote unquote, kisses him and makes a little spark, and he just starts floating with happiness as the fire extinguisher.
He's so Buster Keaton. I love Wally so much.
Yeah. So
just the little tiny movements of the eyes, and you're just like, I know his emotions so well. Like, just bravo. I love it.
Yes.
Sorry.
She's giggling as well. She's giddy. They're dancing in space and swirling around each other, and and this leads to a lot of big moments afterwards where they're in jeopardy. Where like HAL 9000 essentially tries to kill both of them. Wally does get damaged enough that one of his like chips is that his boards are destroyed. He's ran out of power. He's basically so weak because he has no power left. He needs sunshine, and the big ships might go back to Earth anyway, so everything should align and get him back there, but they have to obviously fight to do it because the computer, the AI, is trying to like stop them at all costs. And we get the great scene where Wally's literally in a big giant trash compactor, which is very dramatically ironic because of what he does on Earth. And they try to get to him, and everything's sucking out the big doors, the big airlock doors, because they're just letting the trash go out into space. And this is where the clean bot comes back into it, because it's trying to clean the tread marks going through the door, and Eve's able to grab onto it to hold on to stay into the ship. But no, like Eve's basically a superhero, because when the ship tilts and everyone falls out their chairs and there's these big metal beams like going towards everyone, she like sort of like gets in the way, like Superman, and just stops them and is like, "No, I'm going to save people." And
she is actually very comparable to Superman.
Hello.
With all of her abilities and what she does for humanity. There's a lot there.
I mean, yeah, our first instinct though on Earth at the start of the movie is just to blow everything up that even looks at her funny. So I mean, it's a little bit different, but other than that,
Maybe.
Yeah, but you know, Wally's like trapped and he's getting crushed. So it's very uplifting that the captain, who at this point has met Wally a couple of times and knows that he's good and like cares for him, decides to do the unthinkable and stand up.
Bum, bum, bum.
And he's walking towards, and he takes out the AI and hits the button. But you have like a whole crowd of people plus Eve watching Wally getting crushed in this this device that's closing because the plant's not on it.
And the whole ship is watching on camera the captain stand up too, and they're all like, "You can do that?
It's very epic.
We can use our legs."
It's very, very epic. But the plane goes in, it speeds them back to Earth, and Eve takes Wally out and tries to, because there's so much of the movies about Eve or Wally looking after Eve or trying to get to Eve and making sure that he doesn't lose
He's supposed to hold her hand
because he's finally not alone and he's scared of losing that. And when she's trying to save him, it's like the tables have flipped, and it's really sweet because she really cares, and she charges him up, and he's lost his memory at first and he doesn't remember, and it's really sad.
Crushing.
It's very crushing. She's so like, sad. The Rubik's Cube, the light bulb, remember these things? And he just trash compacts them, and it breaks your heart. And obviously, one of the big things, even though she's kind of like falling for him already, the big moment, of course, is that when the captain plays back her footage of Earth, she actually waits back later and watches some of the footage of when she was like shut down, waiting for the ship to come back, and she sees Wally looking after her.
He sees him getting struck by lightning. And because he was trying to keep her dry with an umbrella.
Multiple times, might add. Well, Wally doesn't learn very well, but that's okay. That's okay. He's got spunk.
He's all heart.
He's got spunk. But of course, she sort of holds his hand. She finally does it sort of really willingly and interlocks the fingers, as it were. I mean, I say fingers, you know what I mean? the equivalent. And it takes a little moment. The heads go together, and he kind of eventually says Eve, and it's sweet. And and that's the other thing, he runs over the cockroach as well. That's just to further show that he doesn't remember anything.
Oh.
But yeah, but you get your happy ending where he's remembered her, and the humans are starting to grow pizza plants, as the captain puts it.
We could grow pizza. Pizza trees, one of my favorite lines. Yeah, it's cute. You see the babies waddle out with their like shakes full of water and watering the plant that they came back for, and I like the closing credits too. How it goes to like it's like art history throughout the years, but each time it's like it's redoing it for humanity since we're coming back and starting over again. So history is starting over again. I think that's a really cute way to do the credits.
Yeah, no, I agree. The movie obviously has its messages. It's got its love story at the center, but it does have a lot of social messaging and its premise and its plot and
absolutely
what it achieves by the end. And it's a message that science fiction returns to often. It's not unique to this film by any means. It's also not unique to have robots remind humans of what humanity is supposed to be, where the robots are more human than the humans, and then by the end they kind of it's classic science fiction storytelling, so it's all baked in here.
I think it's about I think it's about the directive also. Every robot has a directive. Every robot has like a path that they take. Like you can see the path light up on the ground and the robots follow it. And then we see like the little cleaning robot like willingly have to get off that path in order to like follow Wally and clean up everything, and that leads him down like into this enlightenment for him, I guess, where he starts to become on Wally's side. So we see all like the broken robots, the ones that have gone off the path, but because they have this autonomy that none of the other robots do, and they're the ones who save everybody. And in a way, the humans are also sort of following their path, their track, their directive that they're on. And it wasn't until they got off of that path that
I
they
mean,
were able to
it's
save
literal because
themselves.
they have the same lines. Their chairs have the same lines,
Yeah.
so even the visuals literally the same. But one of the points that I like about all this, what you just said there, though, is that it presents it in a way where that first robot, because I talked a lot about how like Wally and Eve's presence with their feelings immediately starts to cause a change in the humans. It does with the robots too. It's it's their impact, even though it's not necessarily a positive one at first, that forces them to sort of remove from his line
Or intentional.
or his path. Yeah,
Right.
But what I like about that is that it presents it as it wasn't even that hard. Like all he had to do was kind of hop off of it. But it was like once something was put in his head that says, no, I have to do something over there, and so I'm going to adjust so that I can do it. And
Yeah, and the movie makes it like a big moment for him.
yeah,
Where he's really like concentrating, like, is it safe to get off the path? But I want to.
but ultimately all it is a little hop, just a little hop to the side, and there you go. Now you're free. You can roam to your heart's content and do whatever you want. And yeah, I think the constant, like I think you can almost read into every little choice like that, and in the back half especially, about how the society works, how the robots move. I mean, that was a great piece of analysis on them having the literal paths, and the idea that it's this green path that has this lines, and you see the lines all over the ship for the chairs, for the robots. They all have these designated lanes that they're supposed to be in.
Yeah, even when like something breaks down, like when Ratzenberger, like his chair breaks down, he falls off the chair. Like the path just like reroutes so that everyone else can keep going past him. And
it even keeps people apart. That's because that's one of the things, right? Is that him and the lady who hold hands, almost by accident, when they're watching Wally and Eve, let their hands go down, they touch. It's like that's the first time they've been close enough to touch. That's why it's not happened, because they're always kept in their separate paths.
Right.
And it's like, oh, human contact.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening, but something's happening. There's a physical reaction here that I've never felt before. Like, it obviously doesn't go into all that, but you as an adult, you can look at this and go,
yeah, exactly. It's clearly there. And I mean, also the messages about, waste and consumerism, about being on our own directive of just, buying, like giving into the consumerism message of, oh yeah, blue, I need blue now. Like, no, you don't. Like the clothes you have are fine. You don't need to have something just because it's new. And that's what caused all this waste. Like, and this is because we're so consumed about ourselves. We forget the things that we have to take care of. Like,
actually, you obviously go back to your earlier point about, hey, isn't it funny that Disney, had this movie come out that's about this monopoly. I do think the one point in the film that's a really good comparison with that is when you see the classroom, the children's classroom, they've been taught the alphabet. A is for I think the name of the ship, but then B is the name of the company. And I thought, there's something really cynical there about teaching the kids about the thing that's going to rule their lives as a really important thing when they're at an early age. And then you think about it, well, Disney kind of gets introduced to young kids. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you show a 4-year-old? You put on a Disney movie or a Disney cartoon.
Disney and Sesame Street.
Yeah, like that's your indoctrination age. So I mean, there's something there to explore. It's in a lot of things.
E is for Elsa. A is for Anna.
What's this from?
Frozen.
Oh. It's like, all right. I don't feel bad for not getting. I was like, man, I'm going to feel like an idiot when she tells me what this is. And then you said Frozen. And I'm like, oh no, I'm okay not knowing that.
Frozen's a wonderful film.
That's my Larry David noise.
I know.
And not just because Jeff Garlin's in this, all right? Like, I will make a Larry David reference or sound on the occasion when it's called for. But yeah. So no, I think that the film's full of ideas. It's got a lot to say, which and I think most Pixar movies do. Most Pixar movies do have a message. I think in this one inherently, because it is science fiction and because it's all the stuff it's doing with the world, with what the humanity's like in the future, all of that stuff means that I think it's even more layered in terms of its messaging than most Pixar. And it's not to say that it's better than other ones that don't have as many layers in its messaging, but it does have more layers than, say, I don't know, recently I watched Coco, and Coco has a really good heartwarming message about family and what's important, but also giving the kid the freedom to be his own thing and not just follow the line that because the whole plot of that movie is that the family say no music, you're not allowed to be a guitarist and try and go down that path because we all hate it because we were all wrong by it, or one of us was wrong by it, and we've all taken an oath to hate it. But that's got a really sweet message. But that's essentially one kind of good heartwarming message, and then you have the heartwarming love story part, but you also have all this other stuff, all this other science fiction thrown in. So I it's true, science fiction by its nature tends to lend itself to a lot of
absolutely
satire and
you have to, or not in every case, but like in this case, if you're talking about the future of humanity, you have to like say, where are we going to be in 700 years? Like, what do humans look like?
And even if
we have this world with robots, then what does that say about us?
And even if you don't intentionally try to make a statement with what the world looks like, whatever your instinct is to make the world in itself will actually say something about how you view humanity, right? Some writers and directors might say, well, I didn't really want to say anything about the future, I just thought I'd have some fun with it. And, I think that's true. I think if you look at, say, Back to the Future Part 2, I don't think when they made Back to the Future Part 2, they said, oh, this is what 2015 is going to look like. I don't think they were trying to make any grand statements.
No, I mean, there was still a consumerism message there.
There was, yeah. But you can definitely look at some specific things and go, yeah, but some messages are just in there anyway because you inherently assume certain things that maybe you weren't trying to say anything super deep about, but you cracking a joke about Jaws 19... It's saying something in a small way. It's a very small thing. It's not a big deal, but it is there.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Wally's full of stuff like that, on a grand scale. So, no, it's very good. I wanted to come in here and make fun of it to upset Tara because I thought that'd be really amusing. But
I cried like movie. 5 times while watching this movie. Like, there's nothing you can really say to make me feel bad because I got to watch Wally today, and it was a wonderful experience.
I think I could if I really wanted to be a dick, but I'm not going to because this movie's good.
Thank you.
And I don't like Tara being mad at me. There's certain people I like pissing off. Tara's not one of them.
I know.
Connor, I will put through hellfire and brimstone.
I don't know how he puts up with you.
Tim's Tim's a little bit different. Every co-host gets the different side up here.
Mm-hmm.
How I operate.
What about
Matt? Yeah, Matt's different.
Matt's in charge of the show that you guys do.
What? No. Matt's kind of the brute. He's the big lovable brute who'll yell things and get excited when Vikings or bears or axes are mentioned. He's a simple man of simple tastes, yes. But hey, no. But that is Wally. I guess we should probably rate the movie. What are you going to give it?
I'm struggling. Because it is like a wonderful film. And I think it is different for adults to watch it versus children, but it is like genuinely a G-rated film that should be seen by kids. It's got great messages, and if you're an adult, I think you'll get a lot more out of it than even the kids would. There are parts in the middle or later to the middle of the movie where I do think it dips slightly, but I still have such a fun time watching it. Like, I love all the antics. I love the chase scenes. I love just the little bits of humor, like the unfortunately timed photographs that are taken of Eve and Wally together that makes her look so evil. And it's fun.
It's Joe, I think for kids, the main message for kids is about empathy, right, and love.
Yeah.
And you want them to learn that lesson. And that's not to say that a lot of adults don't need to learn empathy as well, because they definitely do.
I think it's brave for the movie to come out for children, and it is really a love story without any dialogue in the film.
Yeah, I think the opening half hour is essentially a work of art because the visuals are so stunning and it's so artful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so artful because of the way it's made. And I think the dip that you feel a little bit after, because the space stuff is still beautiful, but once he gets to the ship, there is kind of an adjustment period where you're like, oh, it's just a regular animated movie now. Like, it's like it doesn't feel as special for a little bit.
I would agree with that. But it doesn't really take away from the movie because everything that happens in it is still really good.
No, it wins me back.
I do.
Once Eve's awake again and like they're bonding and she's seeing how he feels about her and they have their sweet moments, like it wins me back again. But there is like a
and
sort
her
of
and her
period.
like abandonment of her directive, and I mean she does still do the things that she's supposed to do, but her top priority is Wally and taking care of him and making sure that he survives, and that's and like he has to tell her, no, you need to put the plant in there. Just like, I don't care about the plant, I just care about you. I mean, all this is happening without dialogue because the movie's amazing and it can do that somehow. It's such an emotional ride, and I mean it has so much 2001 Space Odyssey in it, which is my favorite movie of all time. So fine, it's a 10. What? Whoa. I don't know why I'm arguing with myself.
Whoa.
I think it's a perfect film. I don't know why I'm trying to fight. Like, it's one of those things. Like, do I want to give another movie a 10?
I mean, you're not fighting me. You're fighting yourself.
but if I give it a 9.5, like, what am I really deducting it for? Nothing. So it's a 10.
Okay. 10 out of 10 from Tara. I think I've nudged up a little bit based on our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. We've talked at length about how artful and just the imagery in that first like half hour and just how graceful it is because there's no dialogue and it is just a silent love story. And then I do think there's a dip, but ultimately the messaging, the amount of sci-fi commentary that's in there, and really caring about Eve saving Wally at the end, and all the moments they have that kind of progressively get more touching as they go. So I am going to land on an 8.5.
Okay.
I came into this thinking an 8, but I think I've bumped up a half point.
I'm glad I could contribute to your positive thinking of this perfect film.
Yes. Yes. Perfect film, which you agreed like 2 minutes ago did dip a bit in the middle.
Yeah, but I don't think anything that happened was bad.
Sure. No, I'm poking fun. I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with giving it a 10. I don't think that giving something a 10 means it's literally perfect. But you keep using the word perfect, so I'm prodding at you.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like it's okay. Like obviously, 2001 is a perfect film, but like, how do you really grade perfection? Like, it's probably unrateable. The movie. It's like, what do you give the Mona Lisa? It's off the charts is what I'm trying to say. There is no scale to which to measure that film, but this movie I think is like, for what it was set to do, for the audience it was created for, it is like, it really hits all the marks for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mona
whatever.
Lisa's overrated, but okay.
Well, it's because you didn't study art.
That's true. I didn't study art, so it's a fair point. I don't really have an opinion on it. I just wanted to crack that joke because you compare it to the Mona Lisa. Can I say that? See, when you like say something about like an old movie, a classic that you think's a bit overrated, can I be like, well, you didn't study film?
No, probably not.
Okay, all right. I see how it is. All equal in here, I see. All right.
Well, okay, like Citizen Kane, I'm sure is like, I understand why that movie is so important. Like technically,
I never name names,
but watching the movie, like, it's okay.
Okay.
But I understand why it's held so high in regard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But the top movie of all time? Come on, list.
I'm catching your drift. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay. I mean, it's on the top of a lot of lists, I'm like, really? That one?
That's not number one for me. I respect it a lot, and I've only seen it the once. I should really watch it again at some point. But
yeah,
I do respect it a lot. But hey, that is Wally. If you made it to this point in the review, put the words. I don't have anything. Tara, think of one.
Directive.
Okay. this cold hard word, but we'll go with it. I was hoping for some heartwarming that would, warm the cackles of everyone in the comments, but that's fine. We'll go with directive. So, although that does mean though we can never use prime directive if we ever get to a Star Trek movie. Let's put that out there. We've used directive already. It's off the table now.
There are plenty of other words in Star Trek.
Yes.
Couple.
All right, I'm going to make Tara do her pose for the thumbnail, so make sure the top of your head's not cut off. There you go, bit of slouching. All right, 3, 2, 1, pose. Aww.
I had to be cutesy. It's a G-rated film.
I'm going to have to be the most cynical bastard in look that I've ever had when I do my pose.
Same as every day. Got it.
How dare you? Second of all, how dare you? All right. So there you go. That is Wally. Obviously catches on the Twitters at the Ace Podcast. We should tell you what's coming next week. Now, admittedly, we never actually discussed which one we were doing first, but next week we start recording our 70s month movies. So, Tara, I'm just going to let you pick one of the 4 that's written in that list.
Let me pull it up.
Oh, you're not looking at it? So, what are we doing next week?
Next week, look forward to the Stepford Wives.
Oh, yeah. So we're doing another 70s month. It's not like as big as the last one. We're just doing 5 movies overall. So 4 weekly. You get one extra one because there's 4 plus the voted for one. So there's a vote up at Patreon right now for $5 and up patrons. If it's before the end of September and you're not voted yet and you're a $5 and up patron or you're thinking of becoming one, you got time. Voting ends at the end of the month. And there's some big heavy hitters on there in that vote. Westworld.
Oh, yeah.
Logan's Run.
Woo.
2 other ones I can't remember off the top of my head. Silent Running, I think was one of them. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Big names.
Big names. Big 70s names. So,
big 70s sci-fi names.
So we got 5 70s episodes coming at you in October, so look forward to that. We do still have another vote winner to do, the premium vote from the last month, which was Explorers. We will do that at some point before the end of October as well. So look forward to that too. But yeah, so that's what's coming up. You can, of course, rate the podcast 5 stars and give us a review on the audio formats, the Apple Podcasts or whatever. Please do like and subscribe. Liking is super important, and let us know that you're enjoying the content and you want more of it. It also lets YouTube know that we're worth recommending out to other people, so we grow the audience and we can become bigger and badder and still fit in our chairs.
A monopoly of movie reviews on YouTube.
Yes. So.
Yes. Yes.
It's okay if it's my monopoly.
Delicious money.
So, do all that. Tara, would you like to recommend any other Male Fuzz TV content before we go?
Well, if you enjoy us as a duo reviewing things, good news. Good news, because we have 2 other shows that we review. We're reviewing Classic Twilight Zone. We are in probably end of season 2 or start of season 3 by the time this goes out. And we are also just starting Babylon 5, classic sci-fi that I haven't really explored that much. So exciting.
Yeah. By the time this goes up, there'll be 2 episodes public, The Gathering and episode 1.
Yeah, so we just started, so follow along with us.
Yeah.
Whether you're a fan or Babylon 5 curious.
Yeah, first timer, yeah.
Right.
So, cool. So, all that stuff is good fun. So, yeah, that has been the show. And are we in the 80s now on episode numbers? I think we are. I think we're in the 80s now.
Good for us.
Which is exciting. Yeah. Which I think, and I've been promising for a long time the episode 100 is going to be 2001 A Space Odyssey. So, I think that's going to be like a...
That's a big one.
Joe, that actually might be before the end of the year.
Whoa.
I'll have to do the math later, but I think that actually might be in December. So we'll have to work our thing around that. But hey, that is us. That has been the Atomic Cinema Experiment. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction guys and computer at Salsa.
Put on your Sunday clothes. There's lots of world out there.